Hola, ¿cómo estás? It's your boy, Noah, coming to you live from the basement with another edition of the Countout. What up, fight fans? I'm sorry I missed last week. But we just go ahead, we gonna go ahead and just get right into, the top 10 because y'all missed me. But coming in number 10 is this bitch ass, Sami Zayn. Um, you know, he's a bitch. He is a bitch. I don't know why he keeps running away from a fight. But I like the little nuances they're showing in his character. He's a bully where he would fight a guy off the street like Johnny Knoxville, but he's gonna run away from a dominant force like Drew McIntyre. But when Drew McIntyre is throwing him across the ring like this, I mean, I get why he runs away, especially because Drew McIntyre he looks scary. I mean, anybody with a hairy ass chest and a hairy ass stomach, that's a motherfucker I want to run away from, and I ain't even mad at it. But the reason why I cracked this list is because he was getting dominated first of all, and Drew came in, was about to deliver a bro kick, and Sami Zayn slipped under the rope, went over the barricade, and into the crowd. But as I was saying, the reason why this cracks the list is because this shit is funny as hell. Because, again, how can you be so confident and so, not bold, but you're brash and wanting to fight fucking Johnny Knoxville, but you're going to keep running away from Drew McIntyre like a pussy. And, you've got this whole moniker and this whole face. Like, I'm not scared of you. I thought that shit was funny. I didn't laugh, but, it's one of those, like, internal senses of joy, where that's how you find your laughter inside. Yeah, he's pussy. And then Drew McIntyre came and, ran after him. I digress. I just hope that Sami Zayn, mans up and fights this guy, because I don't think he can beat him. But at least keep the respect intact. But we move on to number 9 with the Sherlock Holmes trio of Ridge Holland, Sheamus, and Pete Dunne. Because again, I'm not calling his ass Butch. It ain't happening. But last week, Pete Dunne showed his whiny side. It's very childish and chicanerous. But the motherfucker, he doesn't know how to harness his emotions. And that's what Sheamus and Ridge Holland tried to get him to understand, that, why are you attacking me, when our enemy should be the New Day? And apparently he got the message. He really did get the message, and he let Sheamus know that the enemy is New Day, and Pete Butch Dunne went he went for the smoke on the New Day. And what I think is interesting about this segment is not the assault. It is not the development of Pete Butch Dunne. It is the fact that they made a G.I. Jane reference. So they are very much in the know, and they are very petty about the whole Will Smith shit. Very much. He made a fucking G.I. Jane reference. And right after that, poor Xavier Woods took the brunt of a Pete Dunne assault. Of course, Kofi had his man's back. He wasn't going to let his New Day brother go outside like that. And, a brawl ensued. And Pete Butch Dunne with his riled up ass, can't keep his emotions intact. Yeah. This shit happened. But you know, a brawl, whether it's backstage or in the ring, when it needs 10 to 15 to even 20 officials to break this shit up, it is good television. It's great television. So that's why I made the list at number 9. But at number 8, we go to a very, very which was once a contested bout, turned into a really, really weird ending. Yeah, that shit was weird. But anyways, I'm not talking about the match itself. The match itself is not why this cracked the top 10. I told you at the beginning of the series that there would be moves that would sometimes make this top 10. And this is one of those instances. In the case of Damien Priest tried to hit AJ Styles with the Reckoning, and AJ Styles reversed it into a Pele kick. And what ensued, what followed, was probably the funniest sell, one of the funniest sells of 2022. If you can go and rewatch the match, please do, and try to find this specific spot in the match, because AJ hits Damien Priest with the Pele kick, and Damien Priest hits like a happy feet, and you know he's kind of stumbling all over the place. It looks like a drunkard. It was funny as shit. I don't know what was going through his mind when it came to coming up with that sell, but it was some of the dumbest shit I've ever seen in my life. It was funny as fuck. It looked like somebody who was trying to pass a sobriety test. It looked so bad. But coming in at number 7, after a hard-fought victory, kind of didn't really seem hard-fought, because when Bianca's strong as shit, right? When she tosses around Zelina Vega, it's honestly like impressive. She looks like dumb strong. Cause she picks Zelina Vega up like Zelina Vega is like a pool noodle. But after the match, Sonya Deville came out. It was pretty much wrapping up Bianca Belair and was just like, yeah, you got a lot of potential contenders, and she was naming a list of them. You know, and it kind of foreshadowed what her future would be as champ. And what followed was pretty interesting, you know. And as she was giving out, like I said, all the names of the potential contenders that would, you know, step up to Bianca, she said that her next opponent was somebody who breaks gender norms and does these other things, and you know, a drum roll goes off, right? And you know, Bianca's telling Sonya, like, you know, whoever it is, I'll be ready for him, as any fighting champion should respond. Like I said, the drum roll ensued, and all you see is Sonya Deville kind of duck off into the cut, seemingly waiting for whoever the next contender is, and boom! Sonya Deville chop blocks Bianca Belair in one of the most surprising developments of the week. Like, who would have thought that Sonya... I knew Sonya was cleared to wrestle. I knew that she was coming back. But I didn't know that she was going to be thrust into this role so quickly. I mean, she's only had one feud so far with Naomi. And it's pretty crazy to think that she's about to get a title feud, a program with Bianca for the title. Of course, she's not going to win. I think this is only like filler until Becky Lynch comes back. But you know, it's very surprising. It's very fresh. I mean, we've never seen this feud before. Like I said, Sonya hasn't really been in a meaningful program in a very long time, and this is a nice way to shake the division up a little bit. So it's interesting to see. You know, I'm kind of happy for Sonya, but we'll see what she does with it. We'll see. It could very well be one of those sleepers that a lot of people don't talk about. But moving on to number 6, and that is Miz TV with Cody Rhodes. After Cody Rhodes blew the whole fucking fireworks budget. This is crazy to me. Because hold on. I said this on the All Real Crew on Saturday. And I said that this is very reminiscent of the Ruthless Aggression and Attitude Era Raws, where they had a lot of fucking pyro to introduce the show, you know, to kick the show off. And I don't ever recall a superstar having this much pyro, you know, for their entrance. Like Batista had a lot of pyro, Edge had a lot of pyro, you know, on the weekly episodic shows like Raw and SmackDown, but it was never this much. I mean, Cody comes out, right? First of all, he has the Bobby Lashley-esque, you know, pyro that Bobby Lashley didn't even end up fucking getting during his own intro. Then he comes out, you know, he does the little chant, roar shit, and he gets all those fireworks, you know, very Edge-esque. And that's probably why they have the budget to do the pyro for him, is because Edge has a new entrance. You know, he's got this dark side to him, and he doesn't require any pyro anymore for his entrance. You know, he got that intro. He got that pyro. He comes up the steel steps and is on the apron. And then he gets even more fucking pyro that lasts like 5 seconds. I'm telling you, this has got to be the most pyro a superstar has ever used in the history of wrestling. And I'm not counting WrestleManias. I'm not counting any of the major pay-per-views, because of course you have to go overboard with the pyro. I mean, that's a part of the reason why it makes these shows, you know, such major attractions, is because of the production. But this shit is overboard. And what made it funnier is that the Miz fucking alluded to that and was like, are you done with your 45-minute celebration and blowing all the fucking pyro budget? That shit is gold. I love the Miz, bro. I love the Miz. But this Miz TV segment was good. Very good. I enjoy a lot of the Miz TV segments, but this one was pretty good. You know, there are a lot of nuances to Cody's gimmick that a lot of people may not notice, and that's the fact that he's using a lot of the banned words like belt and wrestlers, because Vinnie Mac says, in the words of The Miz, he says that a belt holds up your pants, and WWE does not have wrestlers. They are superstars. And that shit was funny as fuck, because Miz was clowning this motherfucker for using all the banned words. But, you know, Cody this week continued to, you know, market himself and promote himself and really make his message clear on why he's back. You know, that he needs to come back to win the Universal Championship belt. You know, because he's got Dusty's voice kind of. And you know, I just love this segment because the Miz fucking clowned his ass. He clowned his ass. But you know, this guy very real, because Cody even called Mike. He even called Miz Mike. And that shit is funny because I always remember that the Miz's name is Mike. Mike Mizanin, to be exact. So this shit was very real, and what ensued, well, it really was to promote Cody's first match back on Raw in 6 years, and it just happened to be against the counterpart to the right there, The Miz. After the segment ended, and Cody Rhodes, clowned him and said what he had to say, The Miz, as you can see in the back, tried to sneak attack Cody Rhodes, and Cody Rhodes was a step ahead of him and threw him out of the ring. And what followed later on that night was a pretty good match. Pretty good match. Did I say I was happy to see Cody, even though it's crazy that he's using all the fucking fireworks? But I digress. Moving on to number 5, NXT. Joe Gacy's sick ass. Yeah, I'm a little salty about Joe Gacy because I feel like WWE is trying so hard to fill the void that Bray Wyatt left when he got released. So hard. Joe Gacy's doing his best. He's not doing a bad job, but it's just not the same. It really isn't. It's almost like a been there, done that, seen it already. But in Joe Gacy trying his best, and I said, you know what I'm saying. He's a very average fill-in for Bray Wyatt. He did create a very, very unique moment this week. As you all, if you didn't see NXT last week, Joe Gacy and Harlan kidnapped Rick Steiner and caged him like an animal. And Brian Breaker came out and was like, look, Joe Gacy, you've got my attention. Stop fucking around with my family, and I'm going to beat your ass. And Joe Gacy, was not there this past NXT, as he wasn't the previous NXT, because Brian Breaker called him out this past week. And Joe Gacy was in an unknown area with a fire pit, and he had Rick Steiner's Hall of Fame ring that he just got this past month, and he threw it in the fire. That's some savagery right there. As far as I know, do I know if that's Rick Steiner's actual ring? I doubt it. But the act itself in kayfabe is pretty savage. That's pretty fucked up, because if you think about it, Rick has been working all his life to get that one ring and that one induction, and then you get kidnapped by this weird Bray Wyatt light motherfucker. He takes your ring and then he burns it. Now, granted, this is metal, so I doubt it'll get fucked up. But still, it's the action itself has a lot of malice behind it. It's very, very fucked up. Very fucked up. But that's why it's on the list. It's because this amount of savagery deserves to be on the list. But coming up at number 4, we've got the official confirmation of a tag team unification title match against RK Bro, the Raw Tag Team Champions, and the SmackDown Tag Team Champions, 2/3 of the Bloodline, the Usos. And this week on SmackDown, RK Bro invaded the show, like the Usos did on Monday, invading RK Bro show Raw. And the Usos but they challenged RK Bro to a unification bout after Roman Reigns 2 weeks ago told the Usos, like, look, I'm envisioning us with all the gold. I've got the Universal and the WWE Championship in my grasp. Y'all motherfuckers need to go to Raw and get those Raw Tag Team belts and bring them bitches back to me. So they went over to Raw, they beat the Street Profits, and they made it clear that they were going to be next in line for those Raw Tag Team Championships belts so they could unify them and so that the Bloodline could have all the gold. And again, RK Bro came to SmackDown to answer the challenge, but they wanted the Usos out there in person because Randy ain't no bitch. We know that Randy ain't no bitch. All right. And what followed was the nastiest look I've ever seen. That boy is ready. He ready. That's the face that I have when I look at certain things. That brother is ready. He ready as fuck. I mean, look at that fucking smile. I mean, shit. That shit is funny as hell. But nevertheless, we got ourselves a tag team championship unification bout. And this shit might just be a show stealer at Backlash. Potential match of the year. I'm calling it. But moving on, we've got Drew Gulak in his new role as a correspondent. I feel so bad for him. He's such a great wrestler. But he's interviewing Charlotte Flair about continued beef with Rondi, as we call her on the All Real crew. And he's a bad interviewer. I'm gonna agree with Charlotte in that, right? Because he told, instead of asking questions, he was just like, as far as I know, like I saw at WrestleMania that you tapped out, and Charlotte took offense to that. Rightfully so, because you as the interviewer, you should not be referencing that. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck what I did. Who won, bitch? And so Charlotte was mad as fuck, and she put this motherfucker in the figure 8 lock. And Drew Gulak was tapping like shit. But tapping wasn't enough because the potential stipulation for the next Rondi Charlotte match is going to be an I Quit match. Charlotte wanted Drew Gulak to say that he quit. He wanted his ass to quit, and he quit many times. Many times. And this is the lasting image of that segment. It's sad because the submission isn't really locked in right here. But Drew Gulak selling the shit out of that shit. I bet it hurts. I put a couple people in the figure 4 and they said it legitimately hurts. So I know that figure 8 off the bridge, it's gotta be a bitch. But yeah, Drew Gulak looks like he's in a lot of pain. But moving on to number 2, Natty showing face at NXT. What a beautiful sight. I love Natty. A future Hall of Famer. Just because she's possibly, she might be the longest tenured female in WWE history. She's had the most matches as a woman in WWE history. She deserves spotlight. I love her because she's consistent in whatever you ask her. If you need her to be a big time player in a main event role, she will do it. If you need her to be a goofy a character in a throwaway program, she will do it to the best of her ability. If you need her to be a mid-carder for the females, she will do it. She's just consistent. That's the one word I can use to describe Natty, and that's consistent. And in this edition of Raw Crossovers into NXT, Natty showed face with Jade, and Natty was just pretty much giving her the whole giving the NXT crowd the whole spiel about her history in that building, her history in NXT. And Cora Jade was pretty much like, I admire you, I looked up to you, and the promo was very raw because you could see that there was a lot of real emotion coming from Natty. Because Cora's those words seem to be real, and that Natty was a big influence for her, and Natty was big in her desire to be a wrestler, and all these things, and they were wrapping each other up with real emotion, and unfortunately for Cora Jade, on the bright side of it, Natty told Cora Jade that she was the future of the NXT women's division. But on the bad side of it, she said that the future is bleak, and she smacked the shit out of Cora Jade. And I bet this Cora Jade to her to surprise. I guarantee you she is very traumatized that her childhood hero smacked the shit out of her. I would be too. Like, if Barack Obama smacked the shit out of me, I think I don't know what I would do to myself. I might have to bathe in like bleach. That shit would hurt my feelings. I'm not even gonna lie to you. But afterwards, Natty put her in the sharpshooter. I'm so serious about Barack Obama, by the way. But Natty put Cora Jade into a sharpshooter, and she was loving every single moment of it. I mean, she had this sick ass smile, like, yeah. It's fucked up. But anyways, coming in at number one of rarity, This is a rare case where a match ends up number one on my top 10. Because I do moments, but when a match is that damn good, it deserves to be number one, and that is Riddle and Jimmy Uso. A very, very competitive match, very physical, very fast-paced. I love Riddle. I love the way he works. I love the Usos. Either one of them knows how to perform in a high-profile bout, especially if it's to close out a SmackDown or a Raw. I mean, I know it wasn't main event Jade, but this is fucking Jimmy. Jimmy ain't no slouch either. Like I said, it was a very, very physical bout. A lot of kicks being thrown, a lot of Samoan drops, a lot of craziness and havoc. But it even consisted of a lot of interference. Jay ended up snatching Riddle off of the turnbuckle to cause a distraction during the match. And Randy did not fuck with that shit. And he took Jay's ass and he dropped his shit on that table. That signature back suplex that he does on the table. Yeah. He launched his shit. He launched Jay's shit. Because he was like, you not about to fuck with my mans like that. Like, y'all gonna come on Raw and make us look like bitches on our show? We gonna make you motherfuckers look like some slouches on y'all show. Cause fuck you. And so after that, Jimmy was distracted by Randy's ass whooping to Jay. He went to deliver a Samoan splash, and he missed it. Riddle came running to Jimmy. Jimmy hoisted him up, and Riddle hit him with a nasty ass RKO. Let me tell you something. Riddle has really mastered the RKO, and I really hope that even after the days of RK Bro are far and over, that he continues to keep this in his moveset, because Riddle has taken the RKO to another level. Like, the RKO, the cutter has always been a pretty straightforward finisher, and Randy has done some things to kind of innovate it, and make it very impactful, like, catching guys from midair and catching motherfuckers doing shooting star splashes and reversing curb stomps and launching them in the air and into RKOs. But Riddle has really added like another athletic element to the finisher. Like the one he did at WrestleMania is fucking ridiculous. But this one was pretty damn good too. Riddle has really benefited from his partnership with Randy. In a lot of it is starting to be translated into the ring, and you can see it here. And after this RKO, it's still Riddle's victory, and his hand was hoisted in it with his partner Randy, who was pretty fucking sized. And Riddle hit a pretty nice RKO, and deservedly so. But that ends this week's count out. Of course, as I always say, feel free to like, comment on if I missed some things. Comment if some things needed to be ranked higher, lower. That's the beauty about the count out. It's all subjective. I want debates. You know what I'm saying? Bring it. Interact. All that shit. But the official Noah has counted it out. It is over. Be sure to tune in next week for another edition. Follow the All Real Crew. Follow TTR Wrestling on Instagram and Twitter. Stay tuned this week again for all the content, during the week for all the Raws and SmackDowns and NXT. Stay tuned for the All Real Crew next week. Other than that, this is the Count Out, and I'm out.